What's up, guys? KPlays here. Is your mind blown? Because my mind is blown. We just got blessed with 10 jam-packed minutes of Monster Hunter while it's hype. New monsters, a new map, hints at more of the storyline, and an open beta announcement. Finally! I'm the most excited for the new reveals personally, but I may be a bit biased because I've already been able to get my hands on the demo for a couple hours. But for a lot of you out there who haven't been able to attend any of the public events, I'm sure that the open announcement was the highlight of the digital event today. We'll start there and work our way backwards. Beta. Very, very soon, and even sooner if you're on the PS5. What a time to have switched to PC. But it's fine. Next week it's going to be a gameplay and info explosion. Can't wait to be able to fully explore all of the windswept plains. Every monster there is going down. Our characters will be made months before the full game launch, so come February, there's nothing from stopping us from jumping right in. And you know what? Hopefully, we see some other community members just as enthusiastic about their mains as I am about Hunting Horn, finally able to fully test and share more info. I'd love to learn some more about the rest of the weapons, because I've been laser focused on just one in particular. But it's the best, so it's fine. And more in-depth coverage has been a bit uneven across the roster this time around. I mean, I get it. The more popular weapons will naturally end up getting the most testing and screen time because they're what most people with demo access have been playing. Now that Ryozo is just called open hunting season for everyone though, the floodgates are open, and everyone's finally going to be able to get hands-on, whether they're casual players, speedrunners, or info deep divers. It's going to be a good week next week. I'm honestly surprised that this is happening so early, really, because the assumption was that they'd be saving the demo as an attraction for all these public events going on. I was expecting maybe like a month or two before release for us to see this, but hey, can't complain. Early birthday presents, we take those. Thanks, Capcom. Now, bringing things back to that trailer. Hello? Excuse me? Why are the designs so good this time around for both the maps and the monsters alike? We've seen our classic volcano region in the oil well basin, a sprawling cavern network full of fire, steam, and oil. A main detail to note that I saw here is that watched through the trailer is that it's not a fully natural environment. The villagers of Azuz live around a massive forge fueled by the heat of the environment, which gives us a nice balance of industry and ecology. I'm kind of wondering something here though. Did these people build the forges, or were those already here? There have been bits and pieces of possible ancient civilization relics in both the maps we've seen so far. The old lightning rod scattered around the plains, and the ruins in the Scarlet Forest. A more recent civilization stumbling across an ancient forge and building an entire culture around it would be a very cool touch of world building. I mean, just look at how lighting the forge is almost like a celebration for them. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Monster Hunter universe culture moments and maybe some deeper history in the full game. That aside, we can't have a proper Monster Hunter trailer without a few new monster reveals, and these were kinda crazy to say the least. First up we have Rompopolo. Insect in the front, dinosaur in the back, gas tank up top. Okay. This thing is an unholy amalgamation of parts that all come together to wake up one gnarly creature. It being a brute wyvern threw me for a loop, honestly, because that mosquito-like face and in the insectoid front legs scream new bug monster to me. The fact that this is technically a reptilian wyvern definitely sells the "this thing should not be" motif going on. Throw it back at Bloodborne. Actually no, I want to fight it. Keep it here. Spewing toxic gas from its mouth and using the larger sacs on its back and tail to cause gas to bubble up and explode in the tar pits makes for a unique fight for sure. This guy 100% is the source of the Hammer Showcase set, meaning that now we only have the Switch Axe set as our only teased but unrevealed monster left in the weapon trailers. That looked like it dealt ice damage, so we can probably expect to see it in the cold map reveal. That's probably just about all we can expect though, because looking back at the gear in the Hammer video, I'm sure that we were thinking that the Plague Doctor aesthetic was probably going to mean Rompopolo would be some maybe crow-themed bird wyvern or something. Personally, I was thinking / hoping for an octopus, because those also have beaks, they're sometimes venomous, and in general that would make for a pretty cool monster design. I'm certainly not disappointed with how this freak of nature turned out, but as for those hopes for an octopus, yeah, we'll get there in a bit. Before that, we have Ajarakan, a new fiery addition to the Monster Hunter Monkey Squad. Almost makes me think that Rajang might not be around to cause chaos in our volcanic map this time around, but let's just throw that thought right in the trash where it belongs ASAP, because that means that we wouldn't be able to see these two throw hands at wilds. Our boy Rajang has yet to go toe-to-toe with another monster quite like himself, and this burning baboon looks like a perfect candidate for that. Later on in the trailer, we see that there's even a chance that he could bring friends to the fight. Old Jang could have his hands full with this one. I mean, he comes on screen for the first time ever, already ready to get active. shoving poor Popolo out of its screen time debut and giving it a back-cracking bear hug to force the gas out of him. Brutal, and kinda smart if you think about it. That's a monster actively recognizing and targeting the main weapon of another. Seeing more interactions like that in Wilds would be pretty great. That aside, now that Ajarakan has told us in no uncertain terms that it's Ajarakan time, we cut to an area that looks much more like his turf. There are no branches or vines for this monkey to swing around on here, so instead it uses what looks like old pipelines for oil. That's another drop in the bucket for this slowly growing ancient civilization theory here. Those definitely don't look naturally occurring to me, and you can hear the metal clanging when Ajarakan jumps up to them. Our new monkey doesn't seem to mind that the environment he lives in may be a little bit man-made though. He seems perfectly adapted to it. Even more so that we see him superheat the shell of spikes on his back when he gets enraged, which I'm sure will add new layers to the fight if the monster design in Wilds keeps up this trend of giving us a cast of unique fights to take on. And speaking of unique, this final part of the trailer was easily the best part of today's whole showcase for me. We see the people in the zoo celebrating the forge lighting like I mentioned before, which, in a twist I wasn't expecting but is actually kind of genius, may actually allude to this map's quote-unquote weather states being mostly artificial. Oil flows, people manually light it up which heats the entire area as a chain reaction, and then I'd assume things eventually cool down before the cycle starts again. What we see here though is that there's a chance that cycle isn't exactly perfectly controlled, which is honestly something you could expect when running an entire volcano-sized forge inside of a massive oil deposit. When things go wrong here though, it seems like they really go wrong, because this massive increase in heat attracts the Black Flame. Not even getting an official name for this one yet, eh Capcom? That's not ominous at all. When I first saw this thing slithering up, I was thinking to myself, yes, we're finally getting another snake wyvern. But then the scene continued and said, hey, how about you keep your prediction to yourself? I'm gonna do you one better. And, I can wait on more snakes. That's fine by me. We got ourselves a freaking fire octopus. Which as far as unique designs go, yeah, that's way better if you ask me. This thing is easily the craziest monster we've seen revealed so far, and that speaks volumes on just how out there some of the 6th gen monsters could be. I don't think it shares a frame with anything we've seen so far, which is pretty rare as far as I know. I mean, we've had Narcarkos and Yamasukami as cephalopod monsters before, but I don't think this guy shares a body with either of them. It kinda really opens up the possibilities if we aren't building off the basics anymore, especially since building off of those basics has already resulted in a ton of variety over the last 2 decades of Monster Hunter. Speaking on our last tentacled terror specifically though, Black Flame might be the first Elder Dragon we see in Wilds. Both Narcarkos and Yama were essentially cephalopod-shaped dragons. So in a weird trend, this might mean that we've seen a 3rd member of this oddly specific club. Unless we're getting an entirely new monster classification that is. What existing group would this even fit in? It's for sure as imposing as your typical Elder Dragon would be too, because when this shows up, these people get gone. And it literally gave this old man PTSD flashbacks. It's huge. The thing is holding 2 of the Ajarakan we just saw them fighting earlier like they're nothing. And the hunter we see fighting it has a prime VIP seat on the struggle bus too. He might even be driving it. Trying to weather that fire blast and eventually getting blown back, or, well, being in this terrifying predicament here. Black Flame grabs the hunter in this tentacle, eyes him up while he frantically tries to stab his way out, which is doing nothing by the way. Brings this siphon around and just lets loose with this massive blast of flame at point blank range. I think that hunter's gone, guys. Like, gone. This is probably the scene right before the time skip where you get booted back to the character creator to make your second player that avenges your first and handles their unfinished business. Nah, but imagine how crazy that'd be. Honestly, Wilds is already treading so much new ground that I wouldn't even put that past them anymore. I ask again, like I do every day and twice on the days where we get new info like this. Is it February yet? This game could not get here fast enough. They can't keep dropping things like this trailer on us and expect us to not go insane during this wait for release day. I think I gotta go lay down, guys. This was too much excitement for this early in the day. What did you think about the trailer, though? And also, what are your plans for the beta next week? Are you excited to get into the hunt? Let me know in the comments down below. But until next time, this has been another KPlays, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.